Hey everyone, welcome to another interesting time on planet Earth. And it certainly is interesting times. What occurred to me recently was where you put your focus. Is your focus in the outer world and all that is going on globally, or is it in your inner world where you're listening to the inner nudges and messages from the energy of you as soul and spirit? And the way that me as soul communicates to me, the human, is through music. And it often grabs my attention when just a line or two of music will just start playing in my head, enough for me to either go and listen to the song or to find the words to the song. And so recently, I had right on the full moon that we had nearly 2 weeks ago. I had the song Harvest Moon from Neil Young playing in my head all night. And it was just on and on and on. And I thought, I need to go and listen to this song and really take in what the words were saying. And the first line of that is about come a little bit closer and hear what I have to say. Just like children sleeping, we could dream the night away, but there's a full moon rising, so let's go dancing in the night. And then what I got very strongly after that was the next part of it, which was about playing, about the music playing, and let's dance the night away because I'm still in love with you and I want to see you dance again because I'm still in love with you. And that really, when I was reading that, it really resonated so much that my body was having a physical response for that. And that was my point to stop and listen to the wisdom that me as soul was wanting to share. Often we get mistaken for who we are. And I was triggered the other day. I was in a group of called Connecting Consciousness, and we have a meeting here once a month, and we just chat about all sorts of different topics. And one of the gentlemen I've known for quite some time said to me, "How do you know you've got a soul?" And it really caught me off guard. And I started quoting Grabavoy and some of the things that he says and talked about the location of my soul. And I stopped and pondered after our meeting, how do I know I've got a soul? And where was my point of reference? Right in that moment, my point of reference was, what do I know from the outer world? What knowledge have I gained? Instead of like, how do I know that I am soul and that I have a human? How do I know that I am spirit and that I have a human? Because soul and spirit, which are eternal, which are like the energy that we have in the invisible realm that impregnates and works through us, through our physical body, a material, carbon physical body to express. And our body gives us feedback as to how we're going on that journey. So the closer you are to your soul, the part of you that is expressing a soul through this human body, then the more healthy you are, the more that you see the world like a journey instead of like what you're having to battle through. Now, currently on the world stage, let me take you into the outer world, there is a lot of pressure being put on people. And you might be thinking, why is all this going on? And I always have to take a step back and say, why does it have to happen this way? And in our discussion in our group last week, it was all about, well, imagine you got onto the television and started telling people, now the government is after your money. They're going to go into your super account before you've even spent your money. And what they're going to do is they're going to tax you on that unrealized amount in your super account. And people would say, oh, that's rubbish. They wouldn't do that. So what happens? It has to happen in the outer world for people to start to really, really get agitated. What do you mean that they're after my money? They're after how am I going to survive? And so it brings up a lot of turmoil and it also brings up a lot of fire energy. which is absolutely needed because unfortunately we have many people, and I guess in Australia where we are, and especially in Victoria, we have an attitude of it'll be all right, mate. Things will be okay. Well, as they say, their crap is about to hit the fan. And they're really seriously after imposing taxes upon taxes upon taxes. So the humans are in fact to the systems like modern day slaves. But why is it happening in this way? It's happening really to pressure people, to put them under a pressure to evolve and shift. And you might say, oh, rubbish, it can't be happening like that. But if you take a step back and have a look what happened over the last 5 years and start to think about the people in your community, in your family that are talking differently about what's happening in the world. For some of them, it's been a rude awakening that the medical system hasn't loved them, that in fact, perhaps they've even been lying to them. And in fact, in some ways, they've been causing our ill health in the world. Now, once again, if you've got somebody on television to tell you that, and I know certainly within our family and friends, even when we tell them, this is what is happening, they just think that we're crazy nut jobs and that we've got our tinfoil hats on and that this couldn't possibly be true. So you can't tell anybody anything anymore. They have to find out for themselves. And sometimes the toughest lessons are through personal experience. When it really happens to you, then it's in your backyard, right on your doorstep. And that's when you have to pay attention. So I'd like to invite you to really, while your eyes and your human avatar is having these experiences in the outer world, to take the time, and especially we've got time with that in Australia here. We're heading into winter very shortly, and this is a time of really huddling in, closing down, and time to contemplate and time to spend time in your inner world, just really understanding the messages that you get from the wisdom of your soul and the energy from your spirit. And this is where really you're going to help yourself to shift and move through the inner world. Now, you mightn't feel confident with that, and that's why we have our New Earth Academy of Eternity, where we explore Grigori Grabovoi teachings so that we give you the knowledge. But knowledge without application is simply just another book on the shelf. And what better way to understand the wisdom that we have about how our reality is constructed, the interaction that plays between reality, how we create reality, and how we interact with us as soul, as us as spirit, and how we can shift and change the carbon essence of our material structure, which is called our physical body. And we take it in a discussion, not just with knowledge, but help to see how you can apply it in the world, because we are all here as this soul we are, having an experience to shift and understand and evolve. We're not just having this physical body experience and hurry up and let me get through the years so that I can die and be eternal, which is also rubbish taught to you by many systems, religious systems. It's not true. And that's a whole nother discussion I'm sure you might have heard me talk about before. But there is a big difference when you're working with your wisdom as soul. It comes through as a knowing. It comes through as not knowledge that you have gained. It's like there's a very strong energy within you that just sort of resonates. This is true. This is true. I understand it. And unless you've had that experience, it might be a little bit hard to get a context about what I'm saying, but the truth comes from within. It's your point of reference is not in the outer world, It's the point of reference is getting closer and being aware of the guidance and messages that you have. Now, here we are, nearly 2 weeks since I had the message of Harvest Moon, and it's still playing. It's still playing. And interesting, today after a beautiful yin yoga session, I was thinking, how will I respond to my friend who asked me about how do you know your soul, or how do you know you have a soul? And I was contemplating all the different ways that I would describe that to him again from a different perspective, not from the outer world, what Grabovoi taught, or I'm going to now speak from, my experience to help to give him context to see that he has this other aspect to him because he knows that there is a soul. He trusts that there is a soul. He trusts his pendulum. He understands there's a whole invisible realm, but his logic and the invisible realm are trying to bridge so that he has an understanding. I got into the car after the yin yoga and I just happened to look at some messages on Facebook, and right there was a reel from somebody describing about soul, spirit, and the physical body. And I thought, this is the answer perfectly summed up by somebody else, not me. I'll send it off to him so that he has a look at it and hears it from another source. Because it's interesting how when your friends or other people, your family members tell you stuff, you disregard it because it's come from them. But when you hear it from an external source, again, the point of reference is external, and you listen to it from somebody else, then it starts to become, oh, okay, maybe there's something to this whole situation. So I hear on the grapevine, we're still in for some rough times. We're in for a massive time of disclosure. And I think where people really get confused a little bit is we're arrived at a point where people are saying what's true and what isn't true. And again, that truth won't come from the outer world. The truth will actually resonate within you. As again, it's a very strong energy. It's if somebody is shouting from your heart, this is true. This is the truth. It's absolute kinesthetic feeling that you have within you, that it's a knowing that you know what the truth is when you hear it. And this is where we're coming back moving from the outer world source to your point of reference is the inner. So I'm going to encourage you really to spend some time with yourself, even if that's just sitting down for 5 minutes a day over a cup of coffee, and start doing some journaling so you can start to tap into your innate wisdom. It's very important that you spend some time bringing your inner world into harmony. And when you do that, then the outer reality around you shifts. Now, you're probably thinking, how can you shift what's happening in the world at the moment? Well, your tiny part has a huge influence in the field, in the world. Just like when you are at disease within yourself and you're triggered by outside world events, it will keep you ruminating and going over and over things. And in fact, if you don't understand how we create this reality, we create it from our focus. And if your focus is in the outer world and you're going over, he said this, she said that, and look what's happening now, then your energy, your emotions, your feelings will in fact create that in the outer world. It doesn't mean that you can't get triggered and certainly, have moments of exasperation. But when you need to take your focus out of the outer world, and as I always say, shut the paper, turn off the telly, don't listen to the news. And if you did that, you'd never know what was happening. So I'm going to encourage you to come a little bit closer to you and a little bit closer to you as soul, and start to tap into the wisdom, because life will become a lot easier. And when you watch the little signposts that turn up along the way, it does make it look like you're living in another world compared to what's happening in the outer realm. Have a beautiful day, everyone, and I'll see you again at some stage. Bye.